About 13 minutes before my next class. I think you guys can see that. I want to show you the two quick ways to do the square root problems and solve for the Pythagorean theorem. Both require taking a square root. So the first kind of triangle that you will see is a right triangle, and they give you one of each of the short legs. Okay, so if they give you, look for the right angle. If they give you the side on one side of the right angle and they give you the leg on the other side of the right angle, think about it like legs connected together. They give you each of the numbers on each side. You're just going to square each number and add. All right? So 1.5 squared plus 2.5 squared gives me that last side squared. That's the Pythagorean theorem, right? A squared plus b squared equals c squared. So I square 1.5. Don't take the square root. A lot of you guys have been taking the square root. Squaring means you do this button. So I have 2.25. And then I square 2.5. 6.25. That's going to equal x squared. So I add those two numbers together and take the square root. 6.25 and 2.25 is 8.5. And remember, you don't want to solve for x squared, you want to solve for x. So you're going to take the square root, and that would be your answer because this is going to be an irrational number. It's not a perfect square. So x is going to equal the square root of 8.5. The other type of problem that they're going to give you is when they don't give you both the legs. So they might give you the 1.5, one of the short legs, and then they might give you the long side, the hypotenuse, or as my daughter liked to call it, the hypotenuse. So if they give you the big long side and one of the legs that is on either side of the right angle, you're going to subtract. And you're always going to put the big long side, the hypotenuse, first. If you can remember that, that's really going to help you with a lot of solving these problems, okay? So we're going to do 8.5 squared, and they're not going to give you one ever with the square root, but I just had this one handy. I just knew all the sides. Here, let's change it. Let's change it. Let's do a 3, 4, 5 triangle. Did you guys recognize yet that there's a special triangle, a 3, 4, 5 triangle? So let's make these sides 3 and 5. All right, just for numbers, making it easier. So I see I have the hypotenuse and one of the legs, so I use the subtraction formula. I always put the long side first. 5 squared, take away 3 squared, equals that last side squared. 25, square each number. All right, 25 take away 9 is going to give me 16. And remember, I don't want to solve for x squared, I want to solve for x. So I take the square root of both sides, x equals 4. For those of you who still don't know how to use your square root button, it's right there. So if I want to find the square root of 16, I put 16 in my calculator and press the square root. Some have you press the square root button first and then put the 16 in. Figure it out on your own calculator. Okay? So, two different kinds of problems. On one, they give you both of the legs. If that's the case, square both of the numbers and add them, then take the square root. If they give you one of the legs and the hypotenuse, then you're going to use the subtraction version of the Pythagorean theorem, and you're always going to put the long side, the hypotenuse, first. So 5 squared, take away 3 squared equals x squared, subtract, and take the square root of both sides. This side right here equals 4. And there's your special triangle, 3, 4, 5 triangle.